Welcome to the weekend. Virginia and Pitt get us going in prime time.
It's a halfback staring at some green grass, nothing but a left turn staring.
Airs it out, and there goes French.
It's about to get loud.
Should a foot race, touchdown. Maurice French.
Welcome to the weekend, welcome to the party, welcome to the light at the end of a heartbeat fire.
The pressure coming, and he fights Dubois, and Virginia has taken the lead.
Talking about football, talking about game day, talking about good friends sitting on tailgates, talking about shots all around, y'all. Come on in, where you been? Welcome to the weekend.
A special night in Pittsburgh, PA. It's prime time, it's Saturday night, and Virginia and Pitt get you going in ACC play straight out of the chute. For the first time on a Saturday night, we welcome you to ACC Network Prime Time Football. It comes to you presented by Geico. With that, we welcome you into the broadcast booth. Adam Amin, Tim Hasselbeck, Katie George will join us in just a moment as well. You never really know how the season is going to play out, but we have an impactful game right out of the gates. Last year's Coastal Division champion Pitt Panthers, this year's favorite to win the division, Virginia. Pitt has won 5 of 6 against the Cavaliers since joining the league, but you have an understanding of why the Cavaliers are excited, why they're primed to maybe make a run to the ACC championship.
One big reason is Virginia's quarterback, Bryce Perkins. He's one of the most dynamic players in all of college football. A real, true dual threat at the quarterback position. He's an outstanding runner, as athletic as any quarterback in college football, as evidenced by the hurdle right there. He can make all the necessary throws as well. Threw 25 touchdown passes a year ago, but I love how they use him into the design run game. This is a draw. Look at him use his eyes, the patience to move the middle linebacker. That allows the double team to get up to the second level, which creates that huge running lane for Bryce Perkins to use that speed to walk into the end zone.
Let's give you a sense and some perspective on his impact. Only he and the #1 overall pick and Heisman Trophy winner Kyler Murray put up 2,600 pass yards and 900+ rush yards. 3 years ago this time, Bryce Perkins was dealing with 2 broken vertebrae in his neck while playing at Arizona State. 3 years later, Katie George, he has a major opportunity in front of him now.
Yes, he does. Adam, Tim, for a young person, Bryce Perkins has battled a lot of adversity over the last few years, but he told me he's learned a great deal from those experiences, like gratefulness. Since arriving at Virginia, before every game, he runs to the opposite end zone and kneels. There, he takes a few seconds to give thanks, just like we saw him do moments ago, reflecting on what it's taken to get here. He said he's come so far from the neck injury and a year spent at junior college, and he doesn't plan on looking back now. He's focused on what's ahead in his second season with the Cavaliers and expects to be even better than what we saw from him last season, if you can believe that. Adam, Tim?
Katie, great stuff. Thank you so much. On to the other side, the Pitt Panthers, defending Coastal champions. We know what they're built on, but maybe a little bit of an identity change this year.
They've been built on the run game. Had 2,000-yard rushers a year ago, but new offensive coordinator Mark Whipple has a history throwing the football. A little bit of a mystery in terms of what we'll see tonight.
Well, we'll see Pitt's offense to start the night as Virginia won the toss and deferred. Away we go. Here is the electric Maurice French. Hog tie just shy of the 30-yard line by Jordan Mack. Pitt's offense sets up shop with Kenny Pickett, who started all 14 games last year as a sophomore. Did struggle a little bit late in the season, but seemingly has adapted well to what Mark Whipple wants to do.
Seems like he has. The plan was to redshirt him a year ago, but they feel like he had valuable experience last year, ready for this year as a starter.
And they'll start with a fullback in the backfield on his right, former defensive end Rashad Wheeler. Maurice French, the intended target on a quick throw, and it's second down. Pittsburgh 7-7 a season ago. Defending ACC Coastal Division champs, the 6th different champion in the division in the last 6 years. Looking deep, Kenny Pickett has a man. Taysir Mack, his big play threat, but incomplete.
Really, it looks like he has Mack down the field. You see as the safety drops down to the top of the screen, he's open. It's the backside safety that is cross that is running to the middle of the field. So Kenny Pickett had to keep the wide receiver vertical, which is why he's not able to run underneath it.
Well, Mack last season, 2nd in the country at 22 yards per catch. He's got Bryce Hall defending him. Batted into the air. The Cavaliers are very good at that. That time it was Mandy Alonso, the junior from Miami. That'll shut down the drive, a 3-and-out for Pitt.
It's a wide receiver screen, so you're allowing the defensive lineman to get up in the face of the quarterback, and Alonso's able to get his hands up there. But that's why he's on the quarterback so quickly.
So it'll be Kirk Christodoulou, the redshirt sophomore from Melbourne, Australia, kicking away to Chuck Davis. Fair catch, Davis. And the Hoos will set up at the 24-yard line. Bryce Perkins, now a senior. Last year was his first season at Virginia, and all he did was go 2nd in the ACC in passing touchdowns behind Trevor Lawrence and set a Virginia record for total offense.
Really a dual threat. I said it in the open. I mean, he's a tremendous runner, but you look at the production in the passing game, they really feel like they can build on that in year 2.
Now, last year against Pitt, granted in brutal conditions in Charlottesville, he had one of his worst games of the season.
He did. You mentioned the conditions. It was basically a monsoon, and I think that had something to do with it.
Just -7 rushing yards. He was sacked 5 times by the Panthers last year. We'll send it out to Wayne Talapapa, the new lead running back for the Virginia offense, and he'll work his way near the 30-yard line. Virginia last season, 28.5 points per game, but you saw flashes of where this offense could go because of Bryce Perkins. They do have to replace their leading rusher, Jordan Ellis, and their all-time leading pass catcher in Olamide Zaccheaus. Perkins off the fake, finds Tanner Cowley. He's out near midfield, and a first down for the Hoos. 19 yards on the play.
You hear everybody talking about RPOs, run pass options. That's exactly what this is. Pulls the back out of the belly, pull the ball out of the belly of the back, and then you see the quick hands to get that ball to Tanner Cowley. Does a good job of throwing it behind him on that back hip as the defender's trying to run over the top.
Usually you hear throwing behind, that's a bad thing, but in that case it was necessary. A fake to Lamont Atkins. Pressure coming. Launching it for Joe Reed. And he stayed in bounds somehow for the first down.
I originally thought that Perkins is throwing this football away.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure immediately. And as he's trying to throw this away, I think he is. I think Joe Reed drags his toe there on his right foot. What an outstanding play by Joe Reed to stick him with it.
The Cavaliers, senior from Charlotte Courthouse, Virginia. That's about 90 miles south of Charlottesville, small town of about 500 people. He grew up riding trains with his dad, Carlton, who was a train engineer. Carlton would regale Joe about stories of the glory days of Virginia football. Joe's trying to do it in his senior year and get this team to a division title. Here is Joe. And in space, Damari Mathis, one of those 3 great quarterbacks. And Tim, this is going to be a key for Pitt tonight, tackling in space.
It is. Pitt really wants to get their safeties involved in the run game. So when you throw these wide routes out to guys like Joe Reed, you need your corners to be able to tackle in space, which Mathis does right there.
Junior out of Lakeland, Florida. After the loss, Perkins a quick pass to Joe Reed. Good job by DeMar Hamlin, the senior, dragging him down. It'll set up a makeable 3rd down. Virginia top 6 in the country last year in 3rd down conversions at 49%. close. The line to gain was the 16-yard line. We'll have to check the spot on this. But the Pitt fans thought it was a running play to the running back, and Perkins pulled it out at the last moment.
Looks like he's going to be a little bit short, but there is a ton of power by the quarterback here. He's using the cadence to get a look at the defense. That helps him with the read. But then you see the outstanding effort here. It actually didn't look like he's on the ground, even while he reaches his right hand out with the football. But they still look like they're short. Still on top of the defender there as he's reaching the football out.
I'm fascinated as college QBs of this era start to go to the NFL. You've heard about the double clap for Kyler Murray at the NFL level. See Bryce Perkins using that clap. Four-man rush. Firing over the middle for Hassis Dubois. He was covered up that time by Paris Ford, the redshirt sophomore from here in Pittsburgh. Safety, confidence seemingly comes from the chemistry for these Pitt defenders. Quick throw to Joe Reed. He got grabbed by Hamlin. And the rest of the Pitt Panthers rally to the ball near the 12-yard line. It's going to bring up third down.
Well, it's interesting they have Joe Reed in the backfield. They throw him the little swing route to the boundary. And as aggressive as Pitt has been when they throw those little swings, I would not be surprised to see Virginia's offense come back with that same action, but then try to throw something behind the defense.
Good start for Perkins. Pressure from the Panthers. And Perkins goes down. Elias Reynolds, the first man there with Keyshawn Camp.
You see what's happened here. They bring a blitz. You see Reynolds coming up the middle there, really just untouched. A little bit of confusion by that Virginia offensive line, and a good job of the secondary rotating to the middle, which is where Perkins wanted to go.
So a 39-yard try from Brian Delaney. Has to angle it in, going away from the open end of the stadium at Heinz Field. Virginia gets the points. Pitt holds Bronco Mendenhall's crew to 3. The young to the slightly less young, but 70 years of age at the tailgate, celebrating a birthday, and then it's not always about pierogies in Pittsburgh, and that is just the saddest thing I've seen all day. I take this as an insult from our crew that they actually put this on television. That is upsetting.
I think a 5-second rule on that one, Adam.
I probably would have eaten it anyway. I'm not going to lie to you. I probably would have. Solid drive for Virginia to start the night. They take a 3-0 lead. Brian Delaney kicks away. And he does a good job not giving Maurice French an opportunity. Out to the 25 come the Panthers and Kenny Pickett. So here is Mark Whipple back in Pittsburgh, 62 years of age, coming off a 5-year stint as the head coach at UMass. It was his second campaign. He won a title at the 1AA level back in the late 90s. This is what Pitt is dealing with, and that's why maybe they have to search for a new identity.
I think there was some question about, okay, well, why are you making the change? Why Mark Whipple when you've been running the football so well? They want more production in the passing game, which is why he's here.
They were 120th in the country last year in passing. They start with a swing pass to Malik Carter, the sophomore from West Palm Beach, Florida. Mark Whipple replaces Sean Watson as the OC, who's now a coordinator, rather an assistant, I should say, at Georgia. Pickett being chased by Richard Burney and did a good job of getting the ball away past the line of scrimmage.
You know, it's interesting. Now you're already in a 3rd and 7. You've got, you know, new offensive linemen. You've got a new offense. You know, it feels like, you know, you're trying to stay on schedule on some of these week 1 openers to get that offense in a rhythm. Doesn't seem like they can get there yet.
It's the old phrase, get that first down. Pickett fires, looking for Mack. Overthrown on a shot play again. He had the safety, Brenton Nelson, in coverage, and it's another 3 and out for Kenny Pickett and the Panthers.
It's the right read. He just doesn't make a throw. He's got an out route and then a deep angle corner route behind it to Sear Mack, and he just overthrows it. He has a shot for a big play. He gives him a better ball.
So a second punt for Kirk Christodoulou, former Aussie Rules football player, another product of Pro Kick Australia, which has produced a ton of NFL punters. That's blocked. Noah Taylor with the block, and Virginia recovers it. Hassis Dubois on top of the ball, and the Cavaliers set up shop deep in Pitt territory.
You see Taylor over here. Taylor's coming off that right edge. He's 6'5". He does an outstanding job. A lot of guys want to run into the punter, but you see him just extend his hand. The block point is not at the kicker, it's out in front of him.
6'5". He's an outside linebacker for Virginia. They have a ton of length, and they use those guys in special teams.
A ton of length, but I'm telling you, the discipline not to dive and run into the punter in that scenario, clearly something they've repped. He does a nice job with it.
Taylor, one of 13 true freshmen to appear in a game for Virginia last year. Impact play early. From the red zone, Perkins looking for Reed. Into traffic and incomplete, but the penalty marker comes flying in. Both Paris Ford and Dane Jackson were in coverage against Reed.
Pass interference, defense, number 11, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Dane Jackson, one of the captains for Pitt.
Yeah, and it's clearly pass interference as Reed and Jackson are trying to find the football. We just need to locate it. But Reed, what he does a nice job of is fighting through contact. When the ball isn't thrown upfield, a wide receiver needs to just abort the route, go locate the football, and then go through the defender to the ball, which Reed does there.
And after the penalty, it sets him up at the 4-yard line. It's PK Kyer trying to force ahead. Not a whole lot there. Kyer, Atkins, Jamari Peacock, and then at the top of the depth chart, Wayne Taulapapa, all trying to replace the 1,000-yard rusher, Jordan Ellis. The 21-year-old sophomore Taulapapa next to Perkins. Perkins keeps trying to get to the edge, and he gets brought down by Paris Ford. They say sometimes he's too wired up. I think it was key there to chase down the speedy Perkins.
Well, it was key there because you see Cowley, the tight end, he's the lead blocker here. But because of Paris Ford's angle and speed to Perkins, he's able to shoot the gap and make that tackle. Otherwise, that's a walk-in touchdown.
3rd and goal. Perkins to Chris Sharp for the touchdown. And Virginia with an early blitz to take a 2-score lead in the first. Noah Taylor set it all up with the punt block. And Virginia cashes in with Chris Sharp. Brian Delaney gives Virginia a 10-0 lead.
Think about Virginia's offense a year ago, really struggled in the red zone. They get an opportunity after Noah Taylor's block punt. Outstanding job giving that offense great field position, and then a little bootleg, easy throw for a touchdown for Bryce Perkins.
Crowd quieted after a rocky offensive start for Pitt, and the Cavaliers taking advantage. Delaney puts another good boot into this to prevent a French return. This drive starts again from the 25, and A.J. Davis has nothing there. Aaron Faumui and Charles Snowden off the edge. Well, the Cavalier defense, top 20 in the country last year, off to a good start. And Pitt going with a little bit of tempo. And not much there for Davis again.
They're going with tempo, and they also ran a power play, pulled the backside guard. But now they find themselves stuck in another 3rd and long.
It is not often you have an opportunity like this to see an impact game right out of the chute. Pitt is playing a conference game in their opener for the first time in nearly a decade. Virginia's doing it for the first time in nearly 2 decades. A 10-0 advantage for the Cavaliers through 1 here in Pittsburgh. 3rd down for Pittsburgh and Kenny Pickett. Quick pass to A.J. Davis, and a big play for the Panthers. A.J. Davis inside the 25. Finally caught up to by Joey Blunt. "59-yard connection." A.J. Davis going deep, and Pitt going with the tempo again. Pickett dumps it off. Grabbed by Will Gragg, the tight end. Jordan Mack the stop.
Look at the big play to Davis. They're really running a drive concept, a shallow cross and a base across behind it, but then they wheel Davis, the running back, outside. Pickett gets to him early. That really is a staple of what a Mark Whipple offense is going to look like. West Coast concepts, which that was there.
2nd down. Pickett. Maurice French chopped out of bounds, but it's 1st and goal for the Panthers.
Now you see the quarterback getting into a rhythm. Another drive concept. Drive concept meaning a shallow cross by the wide receiver. There it was French. Pickett does a good job of finding his way to him.
They're sticking with the tempo in the red zone. Pickett's going to keep it, and he gets swallowed up by Charles Snowden and company. So we've seen the combination. We've seen him go to the sidelines, get plays. Now we're seeing him work off the wristband. A.J. Davis slicing in for a Pittsburgh touchdown. Second career touchdown, 1st in 2 years for the Lakeland, Florida native. Alex Kessman on for the extra point. And an impressive response by the Panthers to start the quarter.
Great response. After 3 tough drives, Pitt changes the tempo. They punch it in with a little bit of a zone read block. Good job of the guys up front. Bryce Hargrove getting him in the end zone.
An impressive response from the Panthers. 7 total yards on their first 3 drives, and they go 85 in a heartbeat to get on the board. Redshirt freshman Paris Jones is back there along with Joe Reed. Reed will get hit shy of the 20-yard line. Katie, it feels like the energy and demeanor has shifted suddenly in this place.
Well, it definitely has. Prior to that last possession, Kenny Pickett and Mark Whipple's encounters had not been pleasant. Whipple was not pleased with the accuracy or decision-making he was seeing from his quarterback, and he laid into him multiple times. But head coach Pat Narduzzi came over and said, settle down, you're fine, let's just find you a rhythm, which he was definitely able to do. And I can confirm Whipple had a smile on his face after that touchdown we saw.
Cracked one to the 62-year-old longtime college football coach. Oh, Talapapa lost it, but he was down. He'll set up at the 21-yard line on a gain of 3.
Going back to Whipple's reaction, now you know what motivates your quarterback, I think. Might need to just get on him a little bit.
Well, you're kind of learning those nuances and machinations, aren't you, right this time, or game number 1?
There's no doubt that you are, and that's part of it. Figure out, you know what, maybe if you yell at a guy, it can settle him down just a bit. And looks like Kenny Pickett has done that.
And Mark Whipple's been a coach since 1980 between the college ranks and in the NFL. Whipple was a coach here with the Steelers about a decade and a half ago. Perkins with time. Launches into double coverage, and Terrell Chapman somehow snagged it out of the air. The former Arizona State roommates connect for the first time.
You see Chapman does a good job. It's almost like a double move, but he goes to the corner, and he just goes up and gets it. 2 defenders there. He doesn't care. I said earlier, ball's in the air. Doesn't matter what your route is. Go up and get the ball. Great job of tracking it. But I'll tell you what, I was more impressed with the throw. You see Perkins just standing in the pocket. Pretty good protection originally, but had to hang in there as Watts was bearing down on him.
There's Taulapapa, beg your pardon, PK Kier into the backfield. Both arms on the football as he works inside the 25. Bronco Mendenhall, working with his offensive coordinators, throws in a ton of substitutions, a ton of personnel groupings. Randy Bates, the Pitt defensive coordinator, said, I think I've seen like 37 personnel groupings on film for Bronco Mendenhall and company. Virginia has never won in Pittsburgh. Bronco Mendenhall 0-3 against Pitt since coming to Virginia. Quick throw to the outside, grabbed by Terrell Jana, and he works past the line to gain for a first down.
When you mentioned the different personnel groupings, they have their players doing a bunch of multiple things. Joe Reed's been in the backfield. Lamont Atkins has been a lead blocker at times.
Right.
You know, I mean, they're asking their quarterback to be a runner at times. So, you know, the offensive coordinator, Robert and I, called it a little bit of a quirky offense, but I think it's pretty creative.
Perkins. Maybe a little miscommunication. Hassis Dubois was the closest receiver. It clearly looked like a misfire between the two. I was wondering if maybe they'd think about throwing the flag for intentional grounding there.
I would say that he would be considered in the area with the ball going there. There was a lot of confusion. I'm not sure the ball was snapped at the proper time. You know, when you look at this, you have a bunch of offensive linemen not even moving. I think Perkins ready to throw those away. Now that I'm looking at it, Adam, I think you're right.
Now, you have to be quote-unquote under duress. Maybe the officials didn't feel like Perkins was under duress, but
Listen,
I saw three blue jerseys.
In that position, that's under duress.
2nd and 10 for Perkins. Again, it just seems like a little bit of miscommunication. That time looking for Joe Reed. Perkins had to be helped up off the deck.
There's plenty of conversation. He's telling Joe Reed this is the coverage. And you see Camp, second time he's had pressure on Perkins.
Now, people are thinking, well, don't you just have one route to run? Usually not. Usually you have some options, and that's typically when there's some trouble.
You do. If you have a corner rolled up in your face with a safety over the top, you might convert that route to a go. You know, and clearly there is some adjusting post-snap that happens in this offense, and there's been some confusion with it.
And it brings up 3rd down. Panthers bringing some pressure. Back shoulder throw for Joe Reed. Incomplete. Good coverage by Damari Mathis. And when the Pitt defense has needed to, twice tonight, they've stepped up. They held Virginia to a field goal, and they've done it again here.
Yeah, they're bringing pressure on the quarterback. You see Camp once again, and then Mathis. One of the hardest plays to defend is that back shoulder fade, but see 10, Camp, I think that's his third QB hit already.
So now Brian Delaney, who was good from 39, tries from 36. Very solid run for Delaney as a sophomore last year. He gives Virginia a 6-point lead. Welcome you back to ACC Network Primetime Football presented by Geico. Bryce Perkins having a little bit of a conversation on the sidelines with his receivers, Katie.
He was, but I was more focused on offensive coordinator Rob Anai. He didn't go over to his receivers or Perkins. He went straight to the offensive line, especially to Chris Glazer, and he ripped him. He's still ripping him right now. He's unhappy with what he was seeing up front. Not so much the miscommunication we're seeing between Perkins and his receiving corps.
A great insight there, Katie. Again, this is an offensive line that brought back some experience this year, so a little surprising to see some mistakes. Another good kick to keep it away from Maurice French for Brian Delaney. 16-year NFL veteran Larry Fitzgerald. You got one of the great running backs ever, Tony Dorsett. You got one of the great QBs, Dan Marino. One of the great tight ends, Mike Ditka. 16 years in the NFL, Fitz still getting it done. That's just a sample of the legacy of Pitt football. Right now, the Panthers with Todd Sibley picking up 9 yards on first down, looking much sharper on offense.
And looking like that old Pitt offense.
Yeah.
You know, that goal line personnel in there, extra offensive linemen, fullback in the backfield, and just trying to run it right down your throat.
Todd Sibley's a redshirt sophomore from Akron, Ohio. Played in 7 games last season. Under Armour All-American. Behind his fullback, Rashad Wheeler. And he picks up the first down.
This is goal line personnel.
Yep.
In your own end in power football. Now here come the fast guys.
Yeah, now that there's a personnel change. They're going to go 4 wide. They're taking a page out of the Virginia playbook. You like to see a little bit of shifting of the personnel. You didn't see as much of this last season with Pitt. Pickett on the comeback route, firing and finding Taysir Mack. Not enough for a first down, but picks up 8 on the play. Pickett dumps it off for French. Into Cavalier territory. Pushed out by Devontae Cross.
You see the tempo there after the play from Pickett getting outside the pocket. Then they go tempo. And then look at it. Virginia's defensive line isn't even set. It's a zone read. They're outnumbered on the perimeter, which is why when French gets the ball, no one's there.
16 yards to the 45 of Virginia. Pickett rifles to French. Holds on inside.
Kenny Pickett's pass complete.
Maurice French getting after Nick Grant a little bit. The senior from New Brunswick, New Jersey. One of 2 Power 5 players in the country last year with a reception touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and a kick return for a touchdown. There goes Sibley. He's got the first down.
This tempo really seems to be giving Virginia fits. I mean,
Yep.
you look at them, the defensive linemen don't have their hands on the ground. The secondary players are still signaling to each other. They're looking at the sideline right now, you know, as Pitt's getting ready to line up and run a play.
French again. Inside the 30 to the 29. Nick Grant was there for the stop.
I've seen a couple of these little wide receiver screens outside. Mark Whipple talked about, look, that's an extension of our run game.
Right.
We're trying to get their defensive linemen to have to run to the boundary. We want to wear them out. It seems to be what they want to do when you think about tempo and how many times we've seen those wide receiver screens.
Pickett steps up in the pocket. And he's going to run into the red zone with a first down. And look at Kenny Pickett fired up. Only averaged about 2 yards a carry last year. Picks up 11 there.
And they like him as a runner. They don't want to use him too much on the zone read. They don't want him to get hurt. Nice job picking his spot there.
Still 1st and goal. Sibley. Good patience, and he cuts it up for a few. Down to the 7-yard line. 2nd down and goal. Pickett on the roll. Dumps it off the map. Powers inside the 5 as Brenton Nelson and Zane Zandier both collide for the stop. Inside of a minute, Pitt has 2 timeouts, as does Virginia. We're managing the clock here. 3rd down and goal. Empty set. Kenny Pickett, end zone, touchdown, tie game. Trey tipped it on the catch. First touchdown in 3 years for the often injured Trey Tipton. That has to feel great for the redshirt senior from Pennsylvania who's finally healthy. Alex Kessman puts Pitt on top. It will be Virginia ball to start the 2nd half, but it's going to be Pitt going into the locker room, scoring 14 straight to take the lead. And Virginia's got to go right in front of that Pitt student section as they exit towards the tunnel. Let's go down to Pat Narduzzi with our Katie George.
Pat, a shaky start for Kenny Pickett, but how did you like the way that he responded?
We had 2 nice long drives, new offense. Guys just kind of clicked in a little bit as we went going on. I'm happy with how we finished the half. We're up by 1. And again, we played kind of a stinky first half.
Containing Bryce Perkins is a top priority. How would you assess the way the defense handled that?
They get a B- so far. We did get maybe 3 sacks. We did kind of contain him one time he got out. But he's a great player, and he's going to make plays.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
Adam?
Katie, thanks so much. Last year's Coastal Division champions taking on this year's favorite. And it's last year's champs that have the lead. ACC Network halftime report right after this break with Jordan and the gang. 14 straight by the Pitt Panthers to take a 1-point advantage at halftime on the Cavaliers, who will have the ball to start the 2nd half as we welcome you back to ACC Network Primetime Football. It is presented to you tonight by Geico. Adam Amin, Tim Hasselbeck, Katie George in a moment as well. Give me a sense of the first half, what you thought.
Changing the tempo changed everything for the Pittsburgh offense.
Right.
And then when you look at the way the Pitt defense played, they've really done a good job containing Bryce Perkins, which we knew would be the key.
We're going to see what happens with this Pitt offense. New identity, new personnel on the sidelines, but even after the shaky start, it really did seem to improve.
Yeah, and I think that's to be expected when you have a new offensive coordinator playing in a new system, but they did get it going.
Cavaliers will start this drive from the 25. A moment ago, Katie George with Bronco Mendenhall.
Bronco, Pitt started playing at a faster tempo there in the first half. What does your defense need to do to combat that if it continues?
Yeah, better communication. And so the tempo tested our communication. We were a little bit late, so we were on our heels, had a couple assignment breaks because of that. So communication is first.
Containing Bryce Perkins is one of their biggest focuses. How can you get his run game going in this next half?
Yeah, our offensive line play has to be stronger. They're winning the matchup up front right now.
Thanks, Bronco.
Well, Katie pointed that out. At one point, Robert and I was going at his offensive line. We'll see if there's some improvement here in the 2nd half. Just a 4-man twist. Perkins past the sticks. It is caught and hung on to by Jana. First down, Virginia on a 17-yard, well-earned reception.
This is a big-time play by Perkins. You see all the coverage. It's basically a deep Tampa 2 coverage, and so he's got to extend the play to let his receivers work, which is exactly what Jana does, coming across the middle. Good job extending the play by Bryce Perkins.
How many times have broadcasters said that the last year? Perkins so good with his feet when he's given the time. Now he's going to take a shot. deep one, incomplete. He was trying to find Terrell Chapman. Damari Mathis in coverage. Terrell Chapman is a senior from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a grad transfer from Arizona State. Was banged up a little bit out in Tempe, only played 13 games the last few years, but he was coincidentally the freshman year roommate at Arizona State with Bryce Perkins. Those two have known each other a long time, so when Chapman was available, an opportunity in the transfer portal to come to Pitt.
He has a ton of speed.
Virginia, beg your pardon.
He has a ton of speed, and they feel like he, gives them a new element to their offense in terms of being a deep threat.
He's on the top of the formation. That's where Perkins is looking. Well, he was locked up there with Dane Jackson. I wonder if they ruled the pass to be uncatchable. Again, a lot of contact. We're seeing a lot of jockeying with these corners and receivers tonight.
It almost looks like he gives up on the route because of the contact, but look, to me, that's pass interference.
Yeah,
I mean, we're 10 yards down the field. We're grabbing the jersey. At the same time, we've seen that all game long from the Pitt defenders.
Right.
2 early pass interference calls, but they haven't thrown one since. And so I think, hey, do business as business is being done.
Yeah. Panthers bring a late blitz. Perkins gets away. There goes Bryce Perkins making magic with his feet. First big run for Bryce Perkins tonight. Looked like he was going to get taken out by the corner blitz. Unable to get to him.
It's a perfect defensive play call. You bring Jason Pinnock on the pressure. He's unblocked. Bryce Perkins should be down for a sack. Instead, he's able to escape it and rips off a 27-yard run.
And you see Pinnock going over with Pat Narduzzi, giving him a little bit of encouragement after that miss. Fresh set of downs from the 30. Little inside screen for Joe Reed. Dane Jackson is right there.
Just going back to that, blitz and the big pickup by Perkins, it is so demoralizing for a defense, especially a defensive play caller, when you dial up a perfect defensive call to get home to the quarterback, and then he kills you with the big play. I mean, that really is frustrating to a group, and I'm sure that Randy Bates is pulling his hair out right now.
Second-year defensive coordinator for Pitt is Randy Bates after 12 years at Northwestern with Pat Fitzgerald. Perkins, low throw, and it looked like it hit the deck. Jana was trying to scoop it off his shoe tops. That'll bring up 3rd down and 8. Well, now you see Keyshawn Camp, redshirt junior, getting worked on the Pittsburgh bench. You heard Tim talk about Keyshawn a couple of times. He was in the backfield often in the first half.
He really was. He's having a good night. Looks like they're working on him to maybe get back in there. I know he's got a knee brace on that left leg, and hopefully he's all right, but he's really been the most disruptive defensive lineman for Pitt this evening.
On 3rd down and 8. Perkins empties it out. Steps up, launches for Reed, end zone, incomplete. Jason Pinnock on the coverage. And from here, it would be about a 47-yard, maybe 45-yard field goal. And they will bring out Brian Delaney.
Better job in pass pro there for Perkins. I actually thought that Reed could have just kept his speed up and kept running. It almost looked like he settled his feet to go up and jump for the football. Had he kept running, I think he would have run right underneath it.
Longest try of the night for Brian Delaney, junior from Virginia. Rock solid, and Virginia jumps back out in front. Just underway in the second half. We've got a good one here in Pittsburgh. Virginia back out in front with a 2-point advantage. Virginia the favorite to win the Coastal this year. Pitt, the defending Coastal champions, 6 different champs since 2013. Virginia the only team to never win the Coastal Division championship. This could be, when it's all said and done, the deciding game. And Pitt will start this drive from the 25-yard line. Those 12 rush yards came in key moments. Fires it off, looking for French. Incomplete.
Confusion to start the half here. It looked like the ball was snapped prematurely. Receivers, both of them in the same, position. I mean, I think they're fortunate this wasn't a turnover. It surprises him. And a theme for Pitt's offense the last couple years, the inability to get points coming out in the second half. Something I'm sure they've worked on.
Pickett launches for Mack. His big play target dropped it. That's going to feel like one that Taysir Mack knows he's got to have. On plays like that, it feels like he knows he's got to have that.
It's an awesome read by Kenny Pickett. They're 2-on-1 in the safety here. You see Mack, the outside receiver, hits him right in the face with the football. It's a great throw by Pickett. Certainly frustrating.
Mack was so good on those big plays. Out route intercepted. It's picked up by Matt Gam, the junior. The first interception of his career. Just cut it off on the out route. Boy, what could have been one play ago, one play later, it turns into an interception.
Matt Gam, the outside linebacker to the left part of your screen, he just runs underneath it. I think Kenny Pickett underestimates the ground that Gam is able to cover because he throws it right on rhythm. It's a little bit left inside, but it's a good job of Gam just running out underneath it.
That's a pretty athletic play for a 240-pound linebacker.
It sure is. He's also 6'3", big, tall, long outside linebackers for Virginia. Certainly used it to his advantage there.
Boy, big sudden change. They set up at the 29. And here is Talapapa powering ahead. The 21-year-old sophomore for Virginia served his 2-year LDS mission in Nicaragua after high school. Spent most of his time on special teams last year. The carries he's getting tonight are the first of his career. Did not have a catch or a carry last year, but we were told this guy can do it all, can be very versatile. He's going to be a key for this team this year. Perkins sees the opening. And he hustles his way close to the sticks and past. Looks like he has enough for the first down.
That's one of those design quarterback runs for Virginia. You drop back, it looks like pass. You mentioned Atkins in the backfield. Atkins actually basically a fullback in that situation. He's going to lead up. Drop back, looks like it's pass, but look at Atkins, number 5 right here. He's just a lead blocker. He had no intention of going out for a pass. He's basically the lead, quarterback lead play or quarterback draw in that scenario.
Perkins again, looking for that opening. Chopped down by Patrick Jones after the short gain. 2 years at Arizona State, following in his dad Bruce's footsteps. Ended up redshirting in 2015. Then during the fall of 2016, he took a hit during a goal line drill and suffered 2 fractured vertebrae in his neck. Missed all of 2016, was in a neck brace for 5 months. He recovered to guide his junior college to the JUCO national title game. And now in his second year at Virginia, boy, he took a huge hit from Kylan Johnson there. How about that impact from the grad transfer from Florida? My goodness.
Kylan Johnson, one of those grad transfers, as you say. Randy Bates a little bit unsure how his team would tackle. Well, I'd say they're ready to tackle. As you just see playing downhill. Kind of fire your gun, basically. Kylan Johnson, that's a big-time play.
And it sets up 3rd down.
Also gets the crowd into it.
Perkins, the cross, Dubois, reaches, touchdown, no! Well, we have one official on the far side saying touchdown. We have one official on the near side saying short. Now the ruling is touchdown. Let's see. He hits the deck there, but it looked like from that view, and I'm not sure if it's fully perfectly down the line, that view makes it look like it crossed the plane.
I would agree with you, but when that shin is down.
Oh, man, that is hard. Well, seemingly that touchdown's going to stand, yeah. We had two officials going towards the goal line. One said touchdown, one said short, but Hassis Dubois putting in the effort.
Catches the ball in the shallow cross, does a good job of fighting through the tackle, reaching into the end zone for the touchdown.
Great effort by Hassis Dubois on a play that I'm surprised did not get reviewed, but it was called a touchdown. It was all set up by the interception by Matt Gam. Set up shop inside the 30, and the Cavaliers cashed in again. This will be a procedure penalty, giving decent field position to the Panthers. He'll hand it off to Todd Sibley, and a good job in space for the tackle by Bryce Hall. First time we've really called Bryce Hall's name tonight, but we kind of also expected that. Such an electric defensive back. We didn't know if Pitt would really challenge him tonight.
And they really haven't, which has probably been a pretty good plan.
More pressure from Hall on the corner blitz. Well, he went airborne. Pickett fires to French. He gets drilled by Joey Blunt, but hangs on at the 30-yard line.
Hall comes on the blitz. A.J. Davis does an excellent job of attacking the blitzer as Hall tries to go over the top.
Wow.
And then Kenny Pickett with yet again another off-platform throw.
He's done that a few times tonight. Pickett, more pressure, launches, incomplete. That'll bring up second down. We got to look at tonight's player spotlight. It's brought to us by Geico. Look at what Bryce Hall did a season ago. The highest coverage grade in the country among returning cornerbacks this year.
Yeah, and you look at the pass breakups. You know, I think he was getting tested more last year than we'll probably see him get tested this year. I also think it's interesting. We've seen Virginia bring him a couple times on a corner blitz.
Right.
Look, if you're not going to throw at him because he's lined up on that side, well, shoot at him as a rusher if the quarterback is going to be working the other side of the field.
Good adjustment by Nick Howell and Kelly Papinga, the co-defensive coordinators for Virginia. Howell does the play calling. Not much room for Davis. Gets run down by Richard Burney. And it'll bring up third down. Virginia bringing more pressure. Good effort to try to pick up the blitz by A.J. Davis, but he kind of just blocked Joey Blunt right into Kenny Pickett. And it brings up fourth down.
Yeah, Joey Blunt is coming on the safety pressure as they rotate him down. They're going to bring him. Davis is going to come over to try to block him, but he's not firm enough. And I actually think Kenny Pickett kind of panics a little bit and walks himself into that blitz.
Sure.
You know, sometimes the sacks are on the guys up front. Sometimes it's on the backs. That one, for me, is on the quarterback.
Well, Alex Kessman knows how to drill 50-yarders. Let's see if he can do it again. Had the leg, as he often does, but missed it wide to the right. And Virginia gets the ball back with a 9-point lead. Well, some fans can't watch right now as we welcome you back to ACC Network Primetime Football presented by Geico. He's got that Bill Fralick towel on his head. Now he comes alive.
Reminds me of what McAfee does when kickers miss. Is that what he does?
Maybe. Hey, Alex Kessman, he's hit 6 field goals of 50-plus yards, the most in Pitt history. He knows how to kick in this building, too. So a miss from 50. Gives Virginia the ball back. And now Bryce Perkins and the Cavaliers go to work with Wayne Talapapa running into Cam Bright. That'll take us to the end of the third quarter. We expected a tight game. We expected a competitive game. We expected a back and forth game, and we have been rewarded tonight so far. 23-14 in a huge Coastal Division matchup to start the season. Come on back for quarter number 4 on prime time. Well, Justin Osierno, a former Pitt fullback about a decade ago, got a team together and suggested that they should play a song to get all the students involved. It was either Living on a Prayer or Sweet Caroline. Sweet Caroline won over. Perkins just took off. I'm not sure if it was designed or not, but he has enough for the first down.
That looked like a feel thing for Bryce Perkins.
Kind of leaning almost before the snap, right?
Empty, and when you line up with 2 wide defensive tackles and you see a hole, and sometimes basically like a quarterback sneak. What made it look unique is we're used to seeing quarterbacks under center do that, not do it out of the pistol or out of the shotgun.
Out on the perimeter, Joe Reed swallowed up. DeMar Hamlin is there. That'll bring up second down. DeMar Hamlin and Paris Ford are the 2 safeties for Pitt's defense. Both of them were top-rated defensive prospects in Pennsylvania, both from the Pittsburgh area. Both had multiple elite-level offers. They'd never met until July of 2012. A mutual friend, 19-year-old Javon Riley, was shot and killed in McKees Rocks. The first time they ever met was at his funeral. Ever since then, Hamlin said our relationship, it's basically been like we've been best friends. That chemistry is carried over. Perkins taking a shot, looking for Jana, unable to hold on as Damari Mathis was there in coverage.
It's the right decision by Perkins. He has one-on-one coverage with Jana on the outside. Throws the go route, pretty good ball, but outstanding coverage by Mathis, who's able to get his hand in at the last second.
One of the strengths of this Pitt defense is their secondary. Third down and 9 coming up. It's the 4-man rush. Perkins off the back foot, looking for Chapman, and it's broken up by Mathis again.
Chapman runs a pretty good route. Looks like he's open. He's waiting on the ball a little bit, and Mathis just continues to come back to the football harder than the receiver does. You see that? And then does an excellent job with that left hand of just punching through the football.
Maurice French back to return. Nash Griffin delivers. Good hang time. Fair catch near the 10. We'll step aside. Pitt gets the ball back. Pitt starts this drive from the 10. Kenny Pickett. He'll pick up a yard. We mentioned to you that he had an opportunity at the Manning Passing Academy this past summer. He actually got invited through a rogue text. The rogue text message came from Archie Manning out of the blue. He lands at this Manning Passing Academy, and not only did he get introduced to Archie, he got to sit across the dinner table from Peyton Manning for about an hour. Here he finds A.J. Davis. Lunges ahead, Bryce Hall on the stop, third down coming up. Got to watch film, got to learn how you streamline some info, got to learn what's the toughest part about that jump from college to NFL. Learning that from Peyton Manning's pretty cool.
And hopefully they had some talks about 3rd and 3 because they have a big one right here.
Right now. Here comes that late pressure. Kenny Pickett spinning ahead. Snowden grabbed him, but the forward progress from the line judge has Pickett past the 20.
Well, if he was at the Manning Passing Academy, Archie taught him that.
Yes.
The running.
It was
the
not
running
Peyton
did
that
not
taught
come
him
from Peyton. And it certainly didn't come from Eli. That's a big play. It's really been his legs. Snowden does a good job, and it's really because he's on top of Snowden making the tackle that ends up being a first down.
Pickett, another shot, this time French, and it's overthrown. Boy, Kenny Pickett took a shot from Joey Blunt.
He got absolutely blasted by Joey Blunt, and he got hit the play before this as well. But he's looking down the field to French, and Blunt runs in there and just puts his shoulder right into the midsection of Kenny Pickett. Oof. And you're slow getting up after those. A lot of times it's just catching your breath.
Yeah. You see him kind of stretching back a little bit. Pickett rolling to the sideline for Tipton, and he makes the grab again. First down, Pitt.
It's a great throw by Kenny Pickett on the run. When it first came out of his hands, I thought, I don't know if this is a good decision. This is a tight window throw. He escapes outside the pocket as Snowden kind of comes inside. You see what I mean about that tight window?
Yeah.
It looked like Brenton Nelson was underneath it there, as Tipton's able to go up and get the football.
Out of the eye this time, they give it to A.J. Davis. And he's caught up to by Matt Graham, and now the penalty marker comes in late. Looked like maybe Zane Zandier came in a little late on that play. Now Brenton Nelson is banged up. You see here, yeah, Zandier comes in late. The Pittsburgh native.
After the play was over, personal foul, defense, number 33, 15-yard penalty from the end of the run, automatic first down.
That is probably fortunate that we don't get a targeting call there.
That's true.
You know.
Here's another corner blitz for Virginia, and Bryce Hall wraps up Pickett. Fought through the block and picked up the sack. The fourth of his career. In game number 39 for Bryce Hall at Virginia.
Mentioned Bryce Hall's coming on the corner blitz. Here he comes right there. Davis does a good job in pass protection. Kenny Pickett just kind of walks into the sack, though. That's the second time on a running back pass protection where he doesn't trust the guy to, you know, in his fight in pass pro, and walks himself into a sack.
And sets him back to 2nd and 15. Here's another Virginia blitz. Pickett scrambling. Pickett circling. And Joey Blunt brings him down back near midfield.
I feel like he did it again there, Adam. Being honest with you.
You've said it a couple times. Almost a little panicky at times, right?
Yeah. Todd Sibley ends up doing a pretty good job in pass pro. You see Pickett try to escape. He kind of came back to the pocket. Just stay there. You know, and I think this, we go back to those hits earlier on Kenny Pickett. Those body blows start to wear on the quarterback later in the game, and you get a little more frantic in the pocket.
Boy, Pitt moving backwards after they set up shop. Pickett stepping up. Firing, intercepted by Joey Blunt. Third pick of his career. Kenny Pickett playing with fire a little bit the last few plays, and now Virginia comes up with the takeaway.
You mentioned it, playing with fire. I said it earlier when he escaped outside the pocket. I thought it was a force. He escapes outside the pocket again. And as he's climbing in the pocket, there's just a lot of bodies downfield. Blunt's right in the throwing lane. If he doesn't pick it, to be honest with you, I think there's a good chance that Bryce Hall ends up with the interception.
Yeah, it looked like French was the intended target. He was surrounded by defenders.
And that's classic running to your right, throwing back across the body towards the middle of the field, which is not what you want to do as a quarterback.
Second Pitt turnover tonight, approaching the halfway point of the fourth quarter. In a two-score game, Virginia on top. Joe Reed. Solid yardage, dropped by Elias Reynolds and Jason Pinnock. Picks up about 8 on first down. And we've seen really, really good Kenny Pickett, and we've seen some rough Kenny Pickett tonight. It's been an up and down night, to say the least.
You know, in the first half, it really was a slow start in the first half, and then he got going. So, I mean, really, first and third quarter, and then now into the fourth, have not been great for him.
Comes Talapapa, and he springs ahead for a first down after Jackson submarine to pass the sticks. Well, now let's see if Robert and I's offense can churn out some clock. This is where Jordan Ellis would be such a workhorse along with Bryce Perkins in the running game last year. No Jordan Ellis. You see Jordan Mack, the injured middle linebacker, dapping up his defense after that pick by Blunt. Right now the Hoos with a 2-score advantage, trying to come away with a huge road victory in divisional play to start the season. Perkins keeps, swallowed up that time. Watts and Alexander all in the backfield. 4:42 left, and it looks like Pat Narduzzi. Will it be Pat Narduzzi's timeout? Yes, it will be.
Charge timeout. Pittsburgh.
We're back after this. Virginia picked to win the Coastal, trying to end a 4-game losing streak to the Pitt Panthers. Pitt has won 5 of 6 since they joined the ACC against the Cavaliers. And it's Bryce Perkins and the Hoos in front. Dubois picks up about 5. They'll set up 3rd down. And Pat Narduzzi is going to use that second timeout with 4.5 remaining. Let's see how aggressive Virginia gets to try to salt the rest of this clock away right now.
I mean, it's certainly interesting. You could envision a scenario, just because it's already a 2-score game, that if you get the ball inside the 20-yard line, have a 4th and short, that you maybe end up being aggressive with it. But obviously what you do on the 3rd down call determines that.
Perkins will hand it off to Talapapa. So a field goal still keeps it at a 2-score game. 4th down's coming up. You're well within Brian Delaney's field goal range here. But if you get the 1st down, all of a sudden, with Pitt out of timeouts now, you can really burn away a bigger chunk of this clock. And if you don't pick it up, that's still a pretty long field in a 2-score game that Bronco Mendenhall's defense can look at.
Yeah, but I think Bronco Mendenhall made the decision when he ran the football on 3rd down, forcing Pitt to take that last time out. Their special teams, by the way, Virginia's, has been amazing this evening. Been perfect on field goals. Obviously had the blocked punt early in the game. So the decision was certainly force Pittsburgh to take that timeout. It's not 4th and short, so go ahead and kick the field goal.
And again, a field goal make here for Brian Delaney from 40 yards would make it a 2-touchdown game. And Delaney unable to connect. Didn't really look clean there.
You see the snap now into the body of the holder and kind of gets to your leg. It's one of those thankless positions you don't want us talking about it.
You don't want to talk about it. Nash Griffin did not want his name heard tonight as a holder.
Yeah, it really hit his hands. A lot of times when you have a low snap as a holder, you just want to trap the football. That one got into his body and didn't trap it far enough out in front of him. And didn't look like he ended up hitting the spot either.
Well, still a 2-score lead. No timeouts for Pitt. 4:20 remaining. Mack gets the catch. Hit by Nelson. Works his way to the 27-yard line. Clock continues to run.
Sometimes that first completion in a 2-minute drive situation, I know we're outside 4, but you're going to need a couple possessions here. That first one is the one that you just need to get going to get in some type of a rhythm, which is just some type of drive starter. And most of the time, a successful 2-minute drive situation, there's either a big penalty or a big quarterback run that creates a big play for the offense.
Third down and 6 in a must-have spot for Pitt. Oh, Pickett's going to take a shot. He's got tipped in. Incomplete. Bryce Hall at the very last moment coming in. And then Kenny Pickett again hitting the deck hard.
Kenny Pickett escapes outside the pocket, and Tipton is wide open. I mean, there is no one within 20 yards of him. I think Hall gets confused, but the recovery speed of Hall as that ball hangs up there. Still one Tipton should catch, but you see the effort and recovery in the length of Bryce Hall.
And here's the hit on Kenny Pickett from Noah Taylor. That's the 7th hit on him this half.
I thought that one was a little late and kind of landing onto the quarterback, also putting him down on his right shoulder.
Yeah, that easily could have been. There's Pickett on the move again. Todd Sibley was the intended target. Incomplete. 3:38 to go and a turnover on downs. And now the Cavaliers are starting to feel it. There goes PK Kyer. Again, Pitt cannot stop the clock with a timeout. They'll blow the whistle dead near the 20-yard line. Again, you're going to hear Bryce Hall's name all year, especially as we get closer to the next NFL draft. This guy might be the first cornerback taken off the board.
Well, he had an opportunity to leave this past year, decided to stay in, and you know, I just thinking about it right now, I'm not sure, other than that last throw we saw on that drive, I'm not sure that he was tested at all tonight.
Yeah. We heard that from the coaching staff yesterday. I don't know how much you want to challenge somebody like that. Perkins on the keep. And he's got the first down.
You know, you just look at this situation, 4-minute drive situation. You're trying to run out the clock to, you know, to secure the game. Virginia right now, they told us a lot about how hard they practice, how hard this team practices, how everything in their program is earned. They're just getting into unbalanced. You know, they're putting an extra lineman in there or moving them over to the other side of the formation. They're leading up with a back, and their quarterback is running the football. Pitt knows it, and they're unable to stop it right now.
Talapapa squeezing through down inside the 10-yard line. Earned, not given. That's the motto of this Virginia program ever since Bronco Mendenhall took over. In Mendenhall's first meeting with the Cavaliers when he took over as head coach 4 years ago, he said he saw a broken and beaten bunch after some feudal years of Virginia football. But he said he wanted to hit the reset button, remind his team that it's a game they're lucky to play. Players had to qualify just to practice, and then they had to qualify to earn a jersey number, which has been a tradition under Bronco Mendenhall at Virginia each of his 4 years. Kyer wrapped up with 1:20 to go.
And having the opportunity to meet with Bronco and his staff, and it's clear kind of the vision for the culture of this program and that whole idea of everything is earned and nothing is given. And when you just think about the cycle, these are his guys now.
Yep.
And he's been there long enough that these are the guys that he's recruited. The idea of having to earn your number,
that's
not something that's new.
That's Reed Kellum, the senior from Richmond, Virginia. The team votes on the draft order for jersey numbers. Reed Kellum did not see the field tonight, but he is so respected by his teammates that he was given the opportunity for #1 selection for a jersey. He picked number 45. Talapapa, for the first time in his college career, he punches it in for a touchdown and puts an exclamation point on a Cavalier victory.
That's impressive. In a 4-minute drive situation when you are just trying to run out the clock, that you basically, as an offensive line, an offensive group, just exert your will on the defense, and you're able to take it in for a stand-up touchdown.
(30-14), Virginia with the lead after Wayne Talapapa, the sophomore from Hawaii at 21 years of age, puts it home.
And he's just running hard at him, but you see the guys blocking downfield, getting him into the end zone. Ryan Nelson, I think, is scoring with his man.
The #1 draft pick loves it too. The numbers are blank at the end of the season. Bronco Mendenhall assigns 8 to 10 team leaders that account for the production and performance and attitude and demeanor of the entire team. After the first week in fall camp, those leaders get together to decide the top 30 to 35 or so in the jersey selection process. Jordan Ellis, their outstanding running back who finished his career last season, he had been the #1 pick 3 years in a row.
It's a little funny sometimes when you see DBs wearing 90s numbers and you see
backup QBs wearing 98 last year.
Yeah, or in the 30s, and you know, it was a little shocking to me at first. And when we asked, you know, Bronco Mendenhall about it, so these guys are just happy to have a. They're happy to have a jersey.
Yep.
They're happy to get a jersey number. It doesn't matter what it is, and obviously you can work your way up, but certainly part of it.
College debut for Nick Patty in at quarterback. He gives it to Vincent Davis, the true freshman, with his first carry. Nick Patty, the redshirt freshman from New Jersey, was the scout team QB last year. Well, what does this mean? Again, it's only week 1. Nothing is decided in the least, but these were the two teams that a lot of people looked at, and this was a game that a lot of folks looked at right out of the chute that could potentially determine the Coastal Division. We'll see if that ends up being the case a few months from now, but tonight, the Virginia Cavaliers come on the road in week 1. They win in Pittsburgh for the first time in program history. The Cavaliers snap their 4-game skid to the Pitt Panthers in an impressive 30-14 road win tonight to open the season.
It's a big win for Bronco Mendenhall in this program. He hadn't beaten Pittsburgh, you know, and even though, you know, Virginia has been the favorite to win the Coastal, and Pittsburgh won it a year ago, you know, there was a sense that it seemed like, yeah, we maybe feel like we have a better team, but we haven't beaten these guys yet.
Right.
And so, listen, 5 out of the last 6, obviously the last 4. So I think this is a big one to go on the road, week 1, be thrown right to the fire in a big Coastal matchup, to come in and really play as well as they did, and then finish as strong as they did. I think that's the most impressive thing for me tonight watching this Virginia team play, is the way they finished, both on the defensive side of the ball, but especially on offense, the way they finished at the end of the game now.
Let's go down with the winning coach with our Katie George.
Bronco, the two groups you mentioned to me at the break both showed up in the second half. Let's start with the defense. They hold Pitt scoreless. What did you think of their bounce back?
Man, just a few key adjustments as Pitt got us on our heels in the second quarter. So Nick Howell and the defensive staff, they did a really nice job making key adjustments, and then the turnovers. That was huge.
The offensive line also tightened things up. What did you think of their perseverance and focus?
They played so much harder, but also more assignment sound in the second half. So we were able to run the ball more effectively, protect our quarterback at a higher level, and then we were opportunistic with our scoring.
You said you wanted to play clean, no turnovers. How would you grade this first game?
Yeah, based on the games I've watched around the country, it's hard to do. So I'm proud of my players.
Thanks, Bronco.
Thank you.
An emotional moment for Bronco Mendenhall. It's the first time that he is on the field coaching in a game since the passing of his father, Paul, who would have turned 88 years old this past Monday. Well, Tim, you said it at the top. This is still a team that loves their quarterback but hangs their hat on defense. They were huge in the second half.
Yeah, held Pittsburgh to 86 total yards in the second half, and just feels like things are, you know, since Bronco Mendenhall has been at Virginia, things just trending in the right direction, and obviously off to a great start.
A great night tonight here in Pittsburgh. A huge win for Virginia on the road. For Tim Hasselbeck, Katie George, the wonderful women and men of our crew, Adam Amin saying so long from Pittsburgh. All ACC is coming up next. The first Saturday in prime time is in the books.